What's up, you guys? Today we're talking Make.com. So, what is Make? Make is an automation and API tool. So, basically, you just use it to connect different tools that you might be using inside of your tech stack. So, in a prior video, we were talking about Quo and how if somebody on your website filled out a lead form and you wanted them to get an automated text, Make would be the go between your website and Quo to make that connection happen. So, it is a competitor to Zapier. If you're familiar with that one's probably been around for the longest. There's a bunch of other competitors to it as well. Zapier is probably just the most well known. So if you're familiar with that, you're familiar with the overall concept of what this is. So let's jump over to the software itself. All right. So this is just going to be an overview. I'm not going to go into in-depth tutorials. This is just so that you can take a look at the software. You can understand what it does at a very broad level, because this does a lot of stuff. It would take probably dozens of hours of tutorials for me to go over absolutely everything that this software does. But I will show you why I like it versus other tools, and it's really mostly a visual. It's a visual thing for me. It makes more sense in my brain on how they build things out. But again, this is just a high level overview so that you can see what it is and you can determine whether or not it's something that you might need inside of your tech stack. So we'll start over here on the left side just so that you can kind of get a lay of the land. And we'll start with the organization. This is just the overview of your account. This is everything, any active scenarios that you have, scenarios that might have some issues. These are drafts, so they're not actually active yet. So that's why they have, they need attention. You can see how many credits you have left, usage, all of those things, buy extra credits. It has your teams. You can do user management in here. If there are different different teams that require different tools to be built out on this, you would set up different teams and assign different users to those teams. Again, user management. It's pretty much everything has it now at this point. So it's the same with this as it pretty much is with anything else. You can deal with your subscription, your credit usage, any payments, installed apps, variables. This is all just very basic. It's basically the settings portion of the of the app itself. The grid. This is a new thing that they just came out with, but it's pretty cool. Now, this is not a completely built out account, so, but they've created this grid, which is basically a mind map of all of the automations and how they connect to one another, which is pretty cool. If you have, say you've got your entire marketing ecosystem built out in here, you can kind of take a look at this grid and see how everything is connected to everything else. Scenarios. These are the automations that you build out. And I'm going to go into just to create a basic scenario just so that you can see what that looks like. But this is where all of your scenarios are housed afterwards. You can build out AI agents in here. So if there's something very specific that you need to happen on a consistent basis, like, I don't know, if it maybe lead research, you can kind of build out AI agents in here to do even lead research. If you're just looking for maybe website URLs for specific lead list or something like that, you can build out an agent inside of here to do that kind of things. Credentials. This is where if you have things, built-in integrations that work with Make, you would have those in here. Also, any custom credentials that you might need there. Webhooks. This is where if you're connecting it with other apps, these are all things that those other apps need to have in order to be connected. MCP toolboxes. This is how will I explain an MCP? An MCP is it's kind of like a webhook, but a very, very in-depth webhook, I guess. So every software has its own API documentation. It's everything that software opens itself up to the rest of the internet. Now, you can build out MCP toolboxes that basically, say you wanted to use Claude to manage different things on your make.com. You would use an MCP to do that. If you wanted to use Claude as your starting point to say, Claude, build out an infrastructure for XYZ on Make, an MCP toolbox would do that. Templates, just like anything else, they have templates, a lot of templates built out on Make. So most of the things that you want to automate or things that you want to connect are already in these templates. So you probably don't need to reinvent the wheel. Whatever you're looking for is probably in here already. Data stores. This came out more recently, I want to say within the last year or so, and this is basically just an answer to a thing called Airtable. And Airtable is just a cloud database. It's basically a Google Sheet that houses a bunch of information that is usable through the apps that you create here on Make. Device, you can add devices so that you can use these this Make account on different devices. You want to make sure that you have device management with your Make account because it's connected to very, very sensitive data. So you want to make sure that is well thought out. Data structures. This is if you're building out apps, more complex apps, you would use data structures, probably in conjunction with the data stores. And then custom apps, this is that where all of those things would kind of come together. So again, we're keeping this basic. It's a basic overview. So that is the whole kind of a rundown of what the whole website itself looks like. So let's go back to the bread and butter of this thing, which is creating scenarios. So we'll go over here, we go to scenarios, and then we'll click create scenario. And this is when it gets really, really fun. So say we want to build out what we talked about on the last episode, which is an automation for Quo to send a follow-up text message after somebody has filled out a form on your website. So what you would do is on your website, you would set up a webhook for that form. And what that webhook is doing is every time somebody submits that form, that submission button is taking the data that's in that form and it's sending it to a URL. And that URL is something that you set up right here inside of Make. You would get the URL from your website so that you can put the URL in here and then it talks to it. It basically sends that data, and this is just listening. This will always be listening for that URL to hit. So now what we want to do is once this trigger happens, we want to press the plus button. And the plus button is going to give us another drop down. Now we're going to type in here Quo. You'll see here Quo. What I always like to do when I'm setting up the automation for Quo, I always like to first set up a create a contact. The reason I want to set up that create a contact is so if I send an automated message and I don't and somebody responds to that automated message, when I go over to Quo, I know the person's name. I can see the contact's name. It's not just a phone number. So I just think it's a best practice when you're setting up Quo scenarios. Make sure you do the create a contact first. Now, inside of this webhook, you're going to have probably a first name, a last name, a company name. And all you're going to do is you're going to have a bunch of variables here. And when that webhook is connected, I don't want to show you guys any webhooks because I don't know what the last submission is. And sorry, I don't want to throw a bunch of data out there. But when you click here, it would show first name, and you just click the variable first name. And then every time that this fires, the first name from this webhook would automatically go into this field to create a new contact inside of Quo. So when you go over to Quo, that new contact will be there. Then we would hit plus. We're going to use Quo again. So we'll go to Quo, and then we have a bunch of different API options here. So you can do delete a contact, get a call summary, get a call transcript, all of these fun things. But what we want to do is send a text message. Now, the from is going to be your phone number, obviously. So if you have multiple phone numbers on your Quo account, you're going to want to select the one that you want it to come from. And then the phone number to send the message to. You're going to add item here. And then again, from here, you would have, this is what the variables will look like. And we don't have a phone number here, but say it's first name. Use your imagination, say that was phone number. So you would click phone number, the variable would go in. This is what it would look like here. Okay. Now we have this up here. Now you can see you can use variables inside of the SMS content. So you could say something like, hey, first name, thank you for requesting an estimate. Are you available for a quick phone call this afternoon? And then boom, you've got a text message. This is just a very, very basic scenario setup. You've got your text message set up. So boom, somebody submits the form. This is your webhook. Then Quo creates a contact so you know who you're talking to when they respond to this text message. And then boom, it sends that text message to that contact with this message from this phone number. Click save. We're done and we're done there. Now, you can go crazy with this. So now, say you wanted to we'll make it easy. You also wanted to send an email to them, just in case, for whatever reason, they see their email more than they see their text messages, which is probably not the case. But you can just click send an email. You'll have your connection set up here. You set up your subject. You set up your you can select your signature. The body contents, you just add that here. You set up the whole structure. It kind of walks you through that whole thing. All right, cool. We'll go ahead and say that. All right, cool. It sent now your text message and it sent your email. Now, what do you want to do? After that point, Say you want to store it in your Monday account because you are using Monday CRM and you want to make sure that all of your leads are getting stored somewhere so that you can follow up with them appropriately, just like you all should be doing. Create an item. You'd go through this whole thing, item name, say it's their first space last name because that's the lead. It's going to go into your leads board so that you can follow up with them later if they don't respond to this text message and this email right away. So you can see this can be built out with limitless possibilities. You can do so many crazy things with this app. And it can make not just your marketing campaigns very powerful. You can also set up automations with this inside of your operation workflows. If you're using multiple softwares for your operations, you can kind of set up those tech stacks so that they talk to one another. And not only do they talk to one another, they can also talk to your team members across, so that they get reminders about things and all those kinds of things. So that is the basic overview of make.com. I know I talked a little bit more about Quo in here. I mentioned Monday a little bit. If you would like to try any of those apps, if this interests you and you want to try out make.com, you can go ahead in the description and click the link that's down there. It is free to try out, so go ahead, play around with it, make a couple of scenarios. I think you get 2 scenarios on the free account. So go ahead, play around with it, connect some of your software so you can kind of get an understanding. And obviously, if you're interested in trying out Quo as a phone system solution, go ahead, click the link down there. And if you are looking for a good CRM or project management tool, try out monday.com. The links for all of those are down in the description. If you need help setting up any of these things, hopefully you can tell by now, I love all of these tools. I've been using all of them for a very long time, and I'm very familiar with them. So if you need help setting any of them up, I'd be more than happy to jump on a call with you to walk you through the whole process, or just to brainstorm if you're curious about how these could work for your business. I'd be happy to help help that brainstorming session. So you can go down into the description here and click the link to go over to tulpamedia.com and book a free consult for yourself if you want to see how these things could work for you, or if you need help setting them up. More than happy to help out. If you got some kind of value out of this video, please click that like button and hopefully the subscribe button. I'm going to go over a bunch of different tutorials and walkthroughs on all of these apps and even more, so that you can have effective, low-cost tech stack for your business and marketing departments, because it's what I do. I'm a marketing professional. I've been doing this for 13 years, and I just want to share this wealth with you guys and make sure that you are off to a good start in your businesses. So that's all I got for this episode, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.